All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Wednesday, June 15th, 2022. If you like the content, subscribe, thumbs up, etc. Leave a comment. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Well, we've gotten through another Fed day here and basically another rally for the most part on the FOMC. And really, that's been the case for pretty much every Fed day this year. But markets are coming back in a little bit here. I did tweet out earlier today that if we break 380, that's going to cause a gamma squeeze for the Wednesday OPEX. You see, we got through that level. They tried to keep us down, and then we pushed back up. So you had dealers hedging to the upside a little bit, but the shorts are coming in here. Give them credit. They're fighting this. And, looks like we're going to get kind of a daily doji here on the spider. Could it still mark a low? Absolutely. You do have a potential island set up here. So you gap down. And then you have this kind of you're in this range here. You got a doji today after a big gap down. It's possible that happens, but we need to see what happens tomorrow. Now, the gamma level for tomorrow is about 387. I'd have to double check that on the close, but 387, 388, somewhere in that range. It was 390, but it's a little bit smaller than that now. I think the expected move is only about 11 points on the SPY. So I would say if 387, 388 gets taken out, we could have serious gamma upside going into Friday and going into OPEX. And there is an SPX straddle for the SPX option at 4,000. So that could come into play as well. Again, this is just projecting out scenarios, not saying this will happen. This trend line here has been support for the SPY, so it's possible that we could get a bounce off of that. And maybe we come back down, maybe we go up to 387, 388 and it gets rejected and we come back down to a double bottom and maybe have like a slight lower low, that type of, a W pattern or something like that. That's always possible. Again, in this scenario, I've been really saying it the last couple of weeks, urging caution here. Don't be in too many positions here. We're just in a few, I'm just in a few positions myself, not, nothing major here. But, a nice little reversal day potentially for the SPY. One thing that is significant jumps out at me, the triple Qs are up significantly more. In fact, the Qs look better, and we actually have a chance to close above this high from Monday. So that'd be 282.34. We're just above that right now. In fact, we'll see if they bounce us back up here and closes above that in the last 10 minutes. Russell 2000 here, IWM, also holding this trend line here. So we got that test, and now we're back testing it. Again, to go back here, this is a big trend line going back to 2016. Also coincides with this pivot high here from 2020. So a pretty major level there on the Russell 2000. We'll see if that ends up holding. But again, possibly a pivot here, pivot point for the market, getting a little doji here. And again, like a potential island set up here on the Russell as well. Semis, SMH here. Again, same pattern. We're seeing it all across the board, but semis are having a decent day, up 1.75%, still below Monday's high, so a little bit on the weaker side. So the move here is more so big tech, but it does look like we're going to get a close above this low here. So that is a good sign. You're reclaiming that pivot here. And again, it's all about tomorrow. Can we get, tomorrow will be the real move, really. So, we got a nice pop here in the markets. It's now fading in. There's a lot of question marks right now, but tomorrow's move, I think, will be the real move, especially going into Friday. So go get Cloud. So Cloud's been holding up better, and we've been noting this lately. But nice move here for IGV, up 2.6%, so outperforming the semis. And, still slightly below Monday's high, but, again, not taking out the lows from last month. So Cloud stocks have been in much better shape here than the semis have, as far as tech is concerned. Dow Transports, again, did have a nice little inside bar pattern yesterday. I think I pointed this out in the daily video. You had kind of an hourly, nice little pop on the hourly 2 days in a row here, and then getting a bid here today. So a nice little continuation. But again, a little doji pattern potentially on the daily again, and it's trying to defend the lows. Would like to see a little bit more strength. Would like to see some follow through rather than, consecutive dojis here. But, Dow Transports is holding up for the moment, so we'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now. Interest rates here, 10-year Treasury yield backed off a little bit. Again, kind of a, sell the rumor, buy the news type move here. Fed obviously hiking by 75 basis points. So maybe yields can cool off here for a minute and kind of just pull back a little bit. Again, they got really overbought, and they had to price in that 75 basis point hike in very short period of time, which, by the way, somebody obviously leaked that to some insiders, because like we were saying on last week, it's interesting how the SPY just dumped out on Thursday right before the CPI number, and then we get the CPI number and it's really hot, and then all of a sudden it goes from a 50 basis point expected hike to 75 just like that. So clearly somebody knew something last week. But in any case, 30-year here, same thing, backing off a little bit, not down as much, so a little bit of relief there as far as the yield spread. And then high yield debt getting a nice bounce here, so a nice relief rally there. HYG up 2%, which is a very big move for this ETF. But it's, it did get above Monday's high. You're close to that gap, but you're still below this breakdown pivot. So that may be resistance if we do test that tomorrow. So keep that on your radar. Home builders here. Again, possible low here. So I like that little tail candle we got on XHB. Same thing with the ITB. So possible little tail candle here. You tested the lows at 52 and you got a nice bid. Basically flat on the day after that kind of dump out earlier. BNQ in much better shape here. Actually gapped higher and it's off of the highs here, but a nice little surge there, up 2.36%. So a decent move for some of these real estate names here that are oversold. Again, XLF, down, gap down. Basically, 2 out of the last 3 days have been dojis or narrow body candles. This one's, kind of close. So again, possible island setup here for the fins and really everything else. Really, pretty much every sector, we're seeing the same kind of chart here. Broker dealers in a little bit worse shape, still below this trend line here, but again, it's getting a bounce just like everything else is. So we'll see what we get tomorrow. Crude here. So crude finally backing off and showing a little bit of weakness here. There we go. So crude chart pulling up here. So looks like we're closing right on that 20 period moving average. We'll see if we get a break below that. I don't expect that to be anything major at the, for the time being, because this is a minor moving average, but it would be, the first step in a potential correction here. Next would be losing that 50 and then the 100 on the downside, but you will have some support in this range here. So around that 110 handle, if we were to test it on the downside, would be a good area of support there for crude if we were to pull back here. XLE. So XLE showing a little bit more weakness here. Again, tech is up today, and the energy stocks, which have been propping up the market the last, really 6 months, are negative. So we're seeing a little bit of technical damage. Take a look at Chevron here. Look at this trend line here that has been in place since December of last year, now getting violated, and it is broken here. So doesn't mean you can't reclaim it or something like that the next day or two. But in my book, you've done some technical damage. So just be careful, again, like I've been saying with these energy plays. This is why you don't chase them up here. There's Exxon there down as well, XOP, and OIH here. So OIH falling pretty sharply down below that 100 period moving average. So very volatile equity here, the oil services ETF. And kind of a potential kind of M top here, a double top right into there, slight higher high, and then a pretty sharp sell-off there. So again, be careful with energy here. Nat gas managing to scratch out a bit of a gain, and I said I was tempted to buy it yesterday, but I didn't. And it looks like that was pretty much the right decision here. I mean, got decent gains, but it's still like unable to get above that 50 period moving average. So kind of a weak bounce here if we look on the hourly time frame. The market's about to close here, by the way. We'll check in on the spiders in a second. But again, you have kind of a hourly, big sell-off here, and then an inside bar. Got a little bit of a bid before a rollover. So if this does a little bit more vacuum filling, there's nothing to say, excuse me, that this can't get through that $7 handle, maybe down to $6.50 or $6. So we'll take a look at that in the future here. Let's take a look at the spiders. Yeah, so basically held this breakout pivot. Bit of a mixed close here, all things considered. We'll come back to that later. Dollar index here did back off again a little bit, so we got through that double top, basically tried to get up to 106, and we reversed a little bit. So again, just like yields, dollar a little overbought here, had to do a lot of pricing in a short period of time, so maybe it has to pull back a little bit. We'll see if it can hold that 104 area, which is kind of where you broke out of, but if it can't get through that, you're going to hit that 50 moving average, and then it'll be back to about 102.50 on the downside there. Gold having a decent day, so it's been very volatile of late. So we had that nice move last week, and then the reversal Monday, and before, you know, a nice little pop here on Friday, or on, excuse me, on Wednesday. So a nice little bid here. Did stall out at the 200 moving average. Not really sure too much what to make of it. I mean, yields pulled back, so that may be the culprit. Dollar pulling back probably helped out. TLT just got a massive bid, by the way, right into the close. I want to show you that. Huge bid, so I'm not sure what the catalyst was for that, but somebody just picked up a ton of TLT here. Very interesting. Anyways, gold here, you know, pulled back, or it's got a bid here on the yields pulling back, the dollar pulling back. We'll see what it does tomorrow. Wouldn't make too much out of it outside of that. Silver having a nice bid again, basically tested this 21 handle and got a bid off of that, stalled out at the daily 20 MA, and platinum getting a bounce at this trend line, which if we go back, trend line goes back quite a ways. It's been a good level here for platinum, and it's also coinciding with this lower trend line. So we'll see what that does in the coming days here. Palladium a little bit on the weaker side, but getting a bounce today, wouldn't make too much out of that. And then copper also green, but basically, you know, testing this green bar here, you know, you're a little short-term oversold, so it was due for a bounce anyways. All right, crypto. So over to Bitcoin now. Again, basically, so we did make a lower low. I said yesterday, you know, I kind of like it at this area if it can hold this tail. And it's still holding this tail on a daily closing basis. Notice the huge volume surge here. So there is maybe some short-term capitulation going on here in the crypto market. Let's see what the low was, 20,125.80. So basically, you know, down to that 20,000 handle. And a lot of people thought it was crazy that, you know, I suggested that that could happen, you know, months ago. But, you know, we never back tested that level. I can fix this chart here. There we go. So we never back tested that breakout level of 20,000, and now it's finally happening. Just like the SPY, we gapped above that 400 handle in April of 2021. Never back tested it, and I said, you know, the longer this takes to back test, the more painful it's going to get. And that's what we're seeing here. There's been a lot of pain in Bitcoin because people were buying at 65, 70,000 and telling you, oh, you're never going to get a chance to get it this cheap ever again. And, you know, it's very reminiscent of what's going on right now with energy. That's why I'm telling you guys, don't chase it up here. There's no need. You'll get a chance to buy it again. But again, that's just the nature of markets. But here we are at 20,000. I still think it could have some more downside here, but it does look like we are, you know, potentially getting some short-term capitulation going on in Bitcoin. And I do like that you held yesterday's tail candle here on a closing basis so far. We'll see what we get tomorrow. Really, it all comes down to, for me, let's flip back over to the spiders here. It's really going to come down to tomorrow. Can we, you know, can we get follow through? I know it was kind of a weaker close, a little bit softer. We came off the highs a little bit. But again, you know, you do have a potential island set up here. And I do like that the triple Qs were leading. And the triple Qs erased Monday's gap down. So not erased, but it did close above the high pivot from Monday. And you know, didn't really get kind of close to gap fill. So 288.84 is your gap fill. High of the day was 286.83. So it was pretty close to you know, filling that gap there on the Qs. So Qs are not far off. That's your positive there. You do have a potential island set up. The negatives are you would have liked to have seen a stronger close, and you really want to see, like, intraday. You wanted to see, like, when the market bottoms, you want to see a V shape. You know, you want to see, you know, this. We don't want to. There wants to be no doubt left, and that's usually how you know when the bottom is put in, is when there's just really, you know, that sharp angle that the market trades at. But we'll see what we get tomorrow. Again, markets may have stabilized here. Again, you know, anybody who is short in this area is probably covering, taking profits. So again, the level to watch though on the SPY, 387 and change, maybe 388. If you get through that and you can sustain through that, we will likely gamma squeeze into Friday. And I would not rule out a close around that 400 handle on the SPY. Anyways, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. Take care, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.